I'm Stephanie Swanberg, Government and Regional Affairs Director for the Tri-City Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Session Spotlight. This short, business-focused weekly update spotlights legislative happenings in Olympia that are relevant to the Tri-Cities business community. We are now in week 7 of the 2021 Washington State legislative session. Now I'm going to throw out a few numbers. Yesterday was the last day to pass bills out of fiscal committees in their House of Origin. So of the 1,053 bills introduced in the 2021 session, 560 have died so far. Today is the 44th day of the 105-day session. That means legislators only have 61 days left to virtually work through 493 pieces of legislation. The operating budget is the hot topic this week. To find the most current budget information, go to fiscal.wa.gov and click on the video tutorial. You'll be shown how to sift through all the updated state expenditures, revenues, and current budget data. There is no operating budget shortfall this biennium, so legislators will have more to work with before needing to look at raising taxes. New revenues are not needed to maintain current spending levels, and the state has maintained substantial reserves which could be tapped if needed. Governor Inslee's operating budget proposal tops $57.6 billion. It exceeds the revenue forecast by $3.4 billion. To cover this overage, the Rainy Day Fund will be utilized and new taxes implemented through a capital gains income tax, healthcare premium increases, a low carbon fuel standard, and carbon emissions cap and trade tax. On the other side of the aisle, Republicans have also proposed a budget of $55.5 billion. No services have been cut. It offers a tax credit, eliminates the B&O tax on manufacturing, and expands broadband internet. Party leaders report that since there is no deficit and another federal relief package is expected, no new taxes are needed. Senate Democrats are expected to have their budget out soon after the revenue forecast is released on March 17th. Check back at the Washington State Fiscal Information website for all the up-to-date information on budgets. Second substitute Senate Bill 5383 passed out of Ways and Means and was sent to Rules for a second reading. This broadband bill authorizes a public utility district or port district to provide retail telecommunication services in an unserved area. Mike Ennis of AWB testified in support of this bill and said, quote, "AWB shares the goal of closing the digital divide by bringing broadband to everyone in the state. We are open to the conversation of expanding the authority to public entities as long as it prioritizes those who are unserved and public providers are subject to the same rules as private industry," end quote. The public-private debate continues to be the biggest argument around broadband infrastructure build-out. The Chamber supports broadband action that ensures all unserved Washingtonians have access to affordable and reliable internet. It looks like tax increment financing may become law in 2021 at long last. It has passed out of the Senate and now is in the House. The Chamber has joined local cities, ports, the Association of Washington Business, and TRIDEC in support of this legislation for the past several years, and we are pleased to see it moving. Senate Bill 5211 helps local governments broaden their tax base and boost economic growth. Tax increment financing supports important partnerships between local governments and private developers, which ultimately promotes employment, economic recovery, and makes public improvements more feasible. Attention farmers! Farmers in Washington have been exempt from paying time and a half for overtime up until November 5th, 2020, when a judge ruled that the exemption was unconstitutional. Since that ruling, farmers pay overtime and follow the law, but are now being told to go back and pay 3 years of retroactive overtime. Senate Bill 5172 protects farmers who were not violating the law from 3 years of retroactive overtime pay, which many farms say they couldn't survive. This bill has passed out of the Senate and is currently sitting in the Rules Committee. Senate Bill 5022 establishes requirements for plastic beverage containers. It prohibits the sale and distribution of certain expanded polystyrene products and establishes single-use requirements for food service businesses. This bill could hit our dairies and food processing businesses hard, so check it out. Yesterday it passed out of Senate Ways and Means and advanced to the Rules Committee for a second reading. Substitute Senate Bill 5396 expands the sales and use tax exemption for farm worker housing. It passed out of the Senate Ways and Means Committee last night and is headed for the House. This bill provides an incentive for agricultural employers to provide employee housing, which may elevate Washington as a competitive location for farm workers. But farmers need flexibility in employee housing options and are concerned that the H-2A restrictions may put a halt to the building of farm worker housing. Last week was a big week for advocacy in support of natural gas. Many Tri-City businesses depend on this affordable and reliable source of energy every day. 1084 and Companion Bill 5093 aim to reduce statewide greenhouse gas emissions by prohibiting natural gas as an energy option in residential and commercial buildings outside authorized areas. As a member of the Tri-Cities Legislative Council, the Chamber collaborated with TriDec, Visit Tri-Cities, and the Pasco, Hispanic, and West Richland Chambers on a letter of support for the natural gas industry to the House Appropriations Committee leadership. To read the letter, go to the Chamber website and look for the letter in Business Advocacy. The Chamber was in good company this week at the public hearing on this bill and was joined by unions all across the state, Cascade Natural Gas, and AWB in testifying against this legislation. I'm happy to report that the bill was taken off the executive session agenda yesterday. I'm sure it was the letter and the testimony that did it. There is strength in numbers and the voice of the Tri-City business community was heard, loud and clear. It's not advancing for now, and that is a big, big win. Do you like your sugary drinks? Well, be prepared for a price hike. 5371 pertains to a beverage tax to fund public health services. Exemptions include milk-based meal replacement drinks, baby formula, and alcoholic beverages. The tax will be placed on distributors, although the end result is a tax on retailers, which will be passed on to consumers. The worry is that small store owners, whose businesses have been decimated by the coronavirus shutdowns, would suffer the brunt of this new tax and cost many people their jobs and incomes. Businesses need relief from burdens, not put more on them. And the Chamber agrees, now is not the time to implement a tax that will hinder the recovery of small business. Will this tax be effective in decreasing the consumption of sugary drinks and therefore decreasing obesity in Washington state? Well, that remains to be seen. Substitute House Bill 1076 allows whistleblowers to bring actions on behalf of the state for violations of workplace protections. Those in support of this bill are saying state enforcement resources are insufficient. Current workplace laws do not provide the protection they were intended to provide, so another pathway is needed. Worker issues have been exacerbated under the COVID-19 pandemic, and certain populations have been impacted more than others. Those opposed say this bill is unnecessary and costly. All the statutes covered by this bill already have enforcement provisions that were negotiated and placed in the bill. Spending $9 million to get $1 million out of it, the only population that benefits from this legislation is the attorneys. This bill is ripe for abuse and it is very expensive. It got exec'd out of appropriations yesterday and is now headed for rules, so we'll keep you posted. The Main Street Expansion Act, House Bill 1279, has advanced through the House and is now awaiting a hearing in the Senate Business, Financial Services, and Trade Committee. Our businesses couldn't have prepared for the COVID crisis. This bipartisan bill will help give small restaurants and other neighborhood businesses that are struggling to keep the lights on, especially in our rural communities, the resources they need to recover. Expanding the Main Street program is a powerful tool to help our neighborhood businesses. It also helps revitalize downtowns and bolster economic recovery. And for every dollar invested in this program, It gives $1.58 in return. As we head into the 8th week of session, the Tri-City Regional Chamber will continue to be your voice for business and help keep you informed and connected. If you have any information on business-related bills that you'd like to suggest for inclusion in next week's episode, please let me know. Thanks again for watching Session Spotlight and have a great week.